Welcome to the aid station. I'm Chris Robb, and today we head all the way over to Stellenbosch in South Africa, where I'm delighted to be joined by Agné du Plessis, the road running general manager for Stillwater Sports. Hi, Agné, great to see you.
Hi, Chris. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you.
Yeah, great to catch up again. And we were just talking before we started recording. 11 months ago we met in Lanzhou in China at the IAAF Road Running World Conference, and how the world's changed in that period of time. It's just quite amazing, isn't it?
It is. Who would have thought that this would be our new normal? So
yeah,
Zoom
meeting
meetings and
virtually
Skype.
from the other side of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's not all bad. There's lots of great things, and it gives us the opportunity to have a chat on the aid station. And I'd love to start by just giving you the opportunity to tell us a little bit about you and your background and what you do with Stillwater Sports, please.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Chris. So sport has been a part of my life always, since I can remember, really. And I grew up along the coast in Jeffreys Bay, and then kind of, did everything. Loved sports. I had to be where the action was, so I took part in everything. Sometimes to my own detriment. I was just exhausted most of the times from all the sports. And coming to Stellenbosch, where I studied at the university here, studied sports science in marketing, with some marketing and psychology and physiology. And I have been involved in sport organization and volunteering as a volunteer at these events. It's been always a passion of mine. So, kind of just living really the dream. And then I started working, ended up in marketing in a big liquor company in Stellenbosch, and doing all the activations and implementation of all the strategies, etc. And then after 10 years in the marketing and corporate, I felt like it was time for me to change and get back to my passions. And then by then we had 3 kids already. So, spending time, took 2 years off, spending time with the family, and just assisting my husband with his business. And then I started working at Stillwater Sports. It's a lifestyle sports marketing agency company, with a lot of variety of different events: mountain biking, trail running, triathlon, swimming events, open water swimming. And I started there, loved it, and kind of evolved. And in 2015, we launched our first big road running event, and that was really, I was from the beginning, from inception to the end, I saw it through. So it was really great to learn all about the road running environment, mass participation, because this was really our first big event. So yeah, mass participation is really a passion of mine, and it's been evolving. And the road running series has grown from 1 to 2 to 3 events, and it's a big series now in South Africa, the FNB Run Your City series. And it's received its labels from World Athletics, so it's really great. It's amazing. So sport is just a passion, and love doing it, really.
And you're living the dream. That's wonderful. Wow, fantastic. And you mentioned 3 children, and we were talking before we started recording that you got 3 children that you're homeschooling. So what's life been like in South Africa under lockdown and managing the children, and what's day-to-day been?
Here, our lockdown came very sudden. I'm sure you know, but the one day we were free, the next day it was lockdown. It came really, really quickly in South Africa, and we've been in level 5 lockdown for 5 weeks, and which no activities allowed. So we can't go outside, only for essential goods and shopping. Last Friday we went down to level 4, which means that now we can get outside from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, go and exercise. So the whole family's out. My husband and I, we're running, kids are cycling next to us. So we're really making use of those 3 hours. And then we get back, we homeschool. So in this time, because all the work gets sent to the parents and we have to oversee them. So it's quite a challenge over homeschooling 3 kids. So my husband's currently busy with the 3 of them, and it's just questions all over. I don't know how teachers do it. And then we do an hour of reading, and then they do some gymnastics training in the afternoon. So we're trying to keep busy, trying to really spend the time with them. And in between, you're doing meetings with work, you're working, you're doing emails, you're doing your planning for, all the different scenarios that's coming. So it's really a whole kaleidoscope of different activities all in one day, really.
And lots of juggling, isn't it? I've had a few people, and I can't imagine, managing 3 kids. I got a little 5-year-old, and like you say, it's questions all day, and it's wonderful you're having all this time together. But trying to get productive work done is quite a challenge, I find. And I'm sure for you with 3 and juggling, you were talking about plan A, plan B, plan C type of thing. What this just never ending kind of scenario changing. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing around managing your team remotely, staff, and the business at this stage?
I think it's everywhere, and I think that came out of most of your sessions is just to plan and to plan for what scenario are we going to face? Is it plan A, is it plan B, C, D, E, or F? And is it even going to take off? It's the unknown. It's the situation is so fluid at the moment, and it's the goalposts keep on moving. So it's really hard to put a stake in the ground because you can't. So I think that's the challenge, is to keep to keep the team motivated, to keep them fresh, and trying to get them to think of new things and innovation, and what do we do different? What can you do in this time that it develops you as a person, and in essence contributes towards the business. So it's I think it's everywhere. It's just, what do we plan for in the end? It's kind of, you don't know. Hopefully we'll be able to, and we plan maybe to have an event in October, November, December, but then is calendar crash gonna, what's the effect of that in the end of the last 2 or 3 months of the year? We don't know. So we're doing worst case scenario, best case scenario planning, and that's just the normal day. And I think that's a challenge globally, especially in our business, because we are the last of the last to go back to normal. And looking forward to
within your
those
business,
times.
you mentioned you've got that portfolio, even though you look after the road running section. I guess in some ways, kind of, I guess a bit of risk mitigation, and then you've got mountain bike, and you've got triathlon, and you've got a bunch of other things which may be able to come back before your bigger mass participation running series that you're talking about around the country. So that must be something that I guess helps it, challenging in some ways, but keeps the team a little bit motivated and stimulated to say, well, we are planning on the trail events or the mountain bike events that might have a chance to come back sooner.
Yeah, 100%. As you know, like, there's a big difference between a 15,000 participant versus a 1,000 participant event. And with outdoor events like mountain biking, you can manage it well. You can allocate time slots. It's a lot. Trails stay there. The conditions, is more or less the same. So I think definitely it really helps in these times to be a diverse company, to have different disciplines of events and not just set in one. I think it's definitely an advantage at this point. And we are looking at bringing our obstacle course racing, our mountain biking, and trail running back sooner. So planning for those. I know the other discipline heads are planning accordingly, and they can, hopefully put a stake in the ground to say, okay, 5th of December, that's the date, and we're going with it now. So it definitely helps.
Yeah. And I guess, in these times, leadership is really important. So you lead a division of the company, and then you obviously have, the leaders of the company that you interact with. Some leadership lessons that you've learned, how you're managing and leading your team in these times. Has that changed compared to what you would normally be doing if you're meeting with them face to face? And how do you find you're being able to be an effective leader in these times?
That's a really tricky question, because I'm a face-to-face person. So for me, it's really, really hard to connect on devices. And I had to, phone calls every week, say, are you guys okay? How are you doing? Hang in there. It's going to get better. And from a business point, I think, our leaders and the managers in the business, they've been really good. And we've been spending a lot of time together strategizing what's the way forward, get everyone's opinions. So that's been really helpful. But I think if I have to mention some things specifically, I think there's so much going on, and on LinkedIn and on Facebook and everything, opinions of people and people saying a lot of things. I think what stood out for me was there's a video clip, and you probably saw it, of Dr. Michael Ryan. He's from the World Health Organization, and really what he said is in these times, in times of trouble, don't go for perfection. You have to act fast, and it's really those things that you kind of know, but you're so afraid of making mistakes, and you overthink all different scenarios. And I think that sometimes is towards our detriment. It's to act fast, to when you get a hunch, to go for it, and to when everyone else is standing still, you need to move forward. And that's kind of the lessons that I've received from all over, the world, really, in essence, in how to apply leadership, and to say, when you're feeling down, go out and go and spend the time with people, not at the moment, but connect. And that's really the essence and the lessons that I've learned.
That's a great point. And making a decision, I think that was the other point. He said, we sit and we wait for perfection, but don't make a decision. And I think, the reality in our industry, we're really well placed to do that, because, if there's a lightning storm coming, or a thunderstorm coming, or if there's been an accident, you have to make a decision, don't you? And sometimes you do get it wrong. And that's just the reality of life. But, in our industry, you sometimes are just forced, you've got to make that decision. And part of this that's made it hard is that we do have, although we don't know when that end date is, that luxury of time might cause people to get that kind of over-analysis paralysis, I think is a term that some people use.
Exactly.
Are there things that you've learned about yourself then during this period of time that have kind of come on a personal level, or even a business level, that you've kind of said, wow, that's a bit of a realization that this time has made me realize that I'm this or that? Or
I think when you're confronted with yourself and your own thoughts for so many hours a day, you really learn a lot about yourself, and you kind of see things that you never realized, and there is maybe not the best side of you that you don't want to see.
Right.
But I've realized that I can really work on my communication skills, and saw it with the kids, and it came out with homeschooling, and I think it really, if I thought of it, I could see it actually go, relating back to work, is, to communicate well, to make sure people understand. And so to express and to, it's just to communicate better and more efficiently and more regularly. I think that's something that I learned about myself, that I'm not the best communicator, and something that I definitely need to work on.
Wow, that's a great. Carry on, sorry.
No, but also, sometimes you're so hard on yourself, and something that I've also learned in this time is to just step back a bit and to say, it's okay. It's okay to spend that hour reading to the kids. It's okay. You don't have to sit in front of your laptop all the time to make a positive contribution. And it's been a great journey. Actually.
Wow, that's great. There's some interesting parallels. I interviewed Lorna Campbell, who's the head of communications for the Abbott World Marathon Majors a few weeks back, and she was just in the midst of training for a text helpline. So they're literally, sending messages via WhatsApp and text. And she was making the point that every word I type is so important to be considered, because someone sitting the other side of that who might be suicidal or suffering from depression or whatever, if I put that in the wrong context, and the point that she was making is that it made me realize, even in communication, of how important one word, written or spoken, can be in terms of the outcome that you get from it. So it's a great lesson that you've gained there. That's absolutely wonderful. Yes. I'd love to end, if I may, on and time's flown away already, but on an inspirational note, something that you've seen that's really inspired you in these times, or someone who inspires you to help you get through this period of time. Any inspirational stories that you'd like to share?
There's so much, I think when people and our human race, when we confronted with adversity, you really see the true colors of people, and you see, as I mentioned before, you see so many things on Facebook, but to really see in South Africa, there's a big difference and a big gap between wealth and poverty, unfortunately. And to really see how people just overcame adversity and their circumstance, it's really inspiring for me. And it just makes me realize that, you know, we so easily look at our situation and feel depressed and despondent, and there are people out there who have this battle every day, really, and yet they have this absolute gratefulness and this absolute joy and this absolute vibrancy towards around them that it's just so inspirational. There's this one video clip, and I'll send it to you. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about this woman who lives on the Cape Flats in an informal settlement, and this video where she shows her house, and it's like as big as our room, and how just the happiness and how she's just so positive and inspiring. You know, it is just amazing, and it's things like that that really inspires me. So, and it's like, how do I redeem this time? Because I think in our lifetime we will probably never get an opportunity like this, where we really locked in our homes with our loved ones and we have some time. So to redeem that time with the people you love, and with you know, just making connections on Skype or on phone call, picking up the phone and calling. So it's really that, and that's my inspiration, and to connect to someone every day that I haven't spoken to for a while. That's something, and I want to challenge everyone who's listening to do that. So redeem this time, because it's actually a gift that we have that we'll never have again.
Wow, what a powerful redeem this time. That is very powerful. That's so wonderful. Connect with someone every day. Thank you so much, Anne. So great to see you again. And there's some great little nuggets there for people to take away. I'm sure they're going to absolutely love listening to this. Thank you so much, and wish you all the very best.